I request everyone to be please seated. We will start our plenary talk in few moments. Welcome back, everyone. We now move to an insightful plenary talk on digital transformation and cross-border cybersecurity threat challenges for government ways to tackle. To shed light on this critical topic, we are honored to have with us Air Vice Marshal Dr. Devesh Vats, who is currently serving as an advisor at DSCI NASCOM. Dr. Devesh Vatsa is a distinguished cybersecurity expert with 37 years of service in Indian Air Force, where he held key leadership roles in communication networks, data security, and cyber operations. He holds a PhD in cybersecurity. He has played a vital role in shaping India's cybersecurity landscape, contributing to critical policies such as National Cybersecurity Policy and the establishment of defense cyber agencies. His expertise extends to cyber deterrence, national security, international collaboration with numerous publications in cyber domain. For his contributions, he has honored with multiple awards, including Vishishta Seva Medal and Prime Minister Appreciation for developing an in-house operating system. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Devesh Vats to deliver his plenary talk with a great round of applause.
जय हिंद। जय हिंद। सुबह से खा रहे हो यार? ब्रेकफास्ट किया, अभी जाके बाहर खा रहे थे। दम क्यों नहीं है आवाज में? क्योंकि कोर्स खत्म हो रहा है, एनर्जी निकल गई। Wow. Can somebody tell me what is the meaning of Jai Hind? Somewhere back in the middle. Yeah, please. बहुत बढ़िया, लेकिन यहाँ पे हिंद भी जोड़ा हुआ है, तो विक्ट्री फॉर द नेशन। जब आप गुड आफ्टरनून, गुड मॉर्निंग बोलते हो, घड़ी देखनी पड़ती है। जय हिंद बोलना शुरू कर दीजिए, प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहेगी। ओके, आज के बाद क्या बोलेंगे? There you are. So you have heard the director speaking about how the transformation is taking place in the world. When the digital transformation takes place, a lot of things happen and happen for good. You heard General Pant talking about what kind of attacks are coming, who is the attacker, why the attacks are taking place, who are the actors, who are the threat actors, right? He also told you about the government initiatives, what is happening in the government of India and why people are worried about this decade which we are living in. And I call it a decade. What do I call it? Decade. We will see how and why. Gentlemen, unless you understand the ecosystem we are living in, you will never understand what is cybersecurity. Okay? So you are living in a hyper-connected digital world. And you are not living there. You are living in a post-hyper-connected digital world. Hyper-connectivity has already come. If reachability is there, I can reach you, you can reach me. Is that right? If I can reach you and you can reach me, we can affect each other, isn't it? And that is what is the flip side of connectivity or reachability. So digital transformation and cross-border cyber threat, challenges for the government, ways to tackle. Interesting topic, but disconnected and connected. Because digital transformation itself requires 1 hour of discussion. And cross-border cyber threats require another hour of discussion. But you want me to finish in 25 minutes? I'll try and do it. Okay, let us understand what is the ecosystem. You are living in this world. Internet, accessibility, and new automation technologies have given hackers new tools in the ever-changing digital ecosystem. I'll come upon that. What is digital ecosystem? Increasing internet attack surface, 50 billion connected Internet of Things devices by 2025. What do you understand by this? Somebody mentioned in the morning, increasing attack surface. The attack surface is increasing. Why? because you want more and more connectivity. And gentlemen, IT, CT, and OT got married somewhere in 2011. IT, you understand. OT, you understand. And CT is consumer technology. You talk about smart cities. You talk of cameras. You enter into a system, any organization you enter, you have got to, put a finger. We are becoming educated, literate, because we have to put a thumb, then only my phone opens. Is that right? What a beauty is this, right? Cloud data will house 92% of data processing workloads. Do you agree with me? And there is a problem. 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are created every day. If this is the way we are creating data, and this is the amount of data which is being created, don't you think data is the oil? Data is the richness. And who are robbed? Rich people are robbed. Those who control this data have to protect this data. If you do not protect this data which you are producing, you are in for trouble, isn't it? Here comes the line. Data protection has become more difficult due to the heightened availability of pre-made attack kits today. You need not to be a hacker or a coder. You just buy a kit and start doing the hacking. And interestingly, there is a market for it. If there is no market for the data, why somebody will steal it? So monetization can be done in the black market for stolen data and increased activity by state actors and organized crime targeting enterprises. Is it right? Then next, phishing attacks have surged by astounding 4,151% due to generative AI. Phishing is still loved by the hackers. And with the AI coming into play, the phishing has become very, very good tool in the hands of the hacker because the English has become impeccable. You will believe whatever is coming to you, right? The average breach now often costs $4.8 million, and that is 10% increase over last year, right? Then cybersecurity ventures project that this year global cost of cybercrime will reach $10.5 trillion US, growing at a rate of 15% annually. Geeta was talking about the cost. Sir spoke about the cost. The cost of cybercrime is spiraling, and it will spiral because the data produced every day is phenomenally high, which we need to protect, right? So digital transformation involves what? It involves integration of digital technology into all areas of business or organization, fundamentally changing how they operate. Do you agree with me? Why digital transformation? Efficient, speed, scale, volume, quick, right? Then what is cross-border cyber threats? It refers to malicious online activities that originate from one country and target another, threatening security and data integrity. And what are the implications? Why these two are important for any country? It has got economic implication. Digital transformation and addressing cyber threats are crucial for India's economic growth, ensuring data protection and fostering a reliable digital economy. We'll see what digital economy means. And secondly, it has got implication on national security. Jal Pant has given in detail when the Prime Minister is saying cybersecurity is national security. So enhancing cybersecurity measures is vital for protecting India's critical infrastructure, national security, and maintaining public trust in the government digital initiatives. So two words have come: digital ecosystem and digital initiatives. We will discuss on that. So let us understand what are the factors which are shaping the digital ecosystem. You will agree, internet accessibility, reachability is the main game changer. But internet cannot do anything till the time you've got end devices, and end devices are increasing at rapid speed and scale. And the government is choosing it. Mobile first approach, Jan Dhan Yojana. मोदी जी कहते हैं जैम. जैम का मतलब क्या है? जनधन, आधार, मोबाइल. मोदी जी के बोलते हैं उसको जस्ट अचीविंग मैक्सिमम. ये उनका कोड वर्ड है, राइट? देन ई कॉमर्स ग्रोथ. लेटे लेटे फ्रिज खरीदते हैं आप घर से, बाहर नहीं जाते. सुबह से लेके शाम तक योर लाइफ लाइन इज ऑनलाइन. एम आई राइट? You want a taxi? App. You want food? App. You want to apply for a license? App. You want to transfer money? App. Do you know how much time you take when you transfer money from A to B and B to C? Can someone using a UPI? Can someone? How much time? Very nice. Millisecond. 480 milliseconds the money is transferred. Fantastic. How it is? We will see. Digital financial inclusion. Don't you agree? Today, when you are on the street and a beggar is asking you some alms, एंड यू से मेरे पास कैश नहीं है, तो आपको क्यूआर कोड दिखाता है. भिखारी भी क्यूआर कोड दिखाता है. Look at how the banks are connected to the banks and how even the guy who's on the street is showing you a QR code. You go to Karnataka, any big village, you have Nariyal Pani, there is a QR code. Don't you think it is inclusion? Are you aware? 180 lakh accounts were open when this PNJY came into play, which is a Guinness Book of Records, in 1 week. Imagine the power of technology and how this technology is increasing the inclusivity. Somebody showed. Sir was telling us the success and failure story, who is hiding what. And you were mentioning about the rural and urban divide in India, educated and educated people in India. And that is what we are trying to address through technology, right? Fintech innovation. I will tell you why fintech innovation has created this UPI, wonderful. And government digital initiative, we'll discuss about it. Tech entrepreneurship is, they are playing a wonderful role in creating these kind of technology which are useful for the social needs of all the people of the world. Then cybersecurity challenges have been discussed in plenty. I will also discuss. Then digital divide is reducing. As I said, people were not having bank accounts. How do the money will be transferred? Welfare scheme money, how it will go to them? They were middlemen. You have to go to somebody, he will say, आपको 50 रुपए मिलेंगे. जबकि पास गवर्नमेंट ने 400 रुपए दिया है. आज DBT है, direct benefit transfer, right? Regulatory environment are pushing everybody in the direction of growth. So, what are the key technologies driving digital transformation? Automation and AI, Internet of Things, big data and real-time analytics, mobile technology, 5G technology, because if communication is not good, the latency is low, and the bandwidth is high, this means the connectivity will be fantastic. And this is what General Pant spoke about, how 5G is revolutionizing what we are seeing called digital transformation of the country, right? AR, VR for maintenance, blockchain for securing your data. Then cloud-based technology, people are migrating. Why? Because everybody cannot maintain all these servers and they want to have the fruits of digitization. You use something which is created by somebody else because you do not create five-star hotels. You live in them. So cloud is a common available source for you. You can have compute there, you can store your data there, and you pay a price for it, right? Cloud is a service. And sustainable innovation with renewable energy. You are seeing the cars are coming into play nowadays. Yeah. So we are talking about EV. We are talking about, somebody spoke about carbon footprint. Sarwan, director was speaking about that. So let us understand India's digital transformation. So India's digital transformation is driving its financial ecosystem towards a $1 trillion digital economy by 2028. Government initiative and technological advancements like UPI and 5G are enhancing financial inclusion and boosting digital services in sectors like health, education, and e-commerce. Digital payments are poised for significant growth, reflecting the ongoing charge. And you will love to hear this, that today if you go to Paris, you want to see the Eiffel Tower, the ticket can be bought using UPI. Don't you feel happy about it? This is a story of India, digital public infrastructure, which people are talking about. And this is because of the eKYC, because of Aadhaar and UPI, and the robust infrastructure to exchange the data. According to the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, India's score on digital prowess has surpassed that of developed nations such as Japan, UK, and Germany in the aggregate level of digitalization. So you are much ahead of others. General Pant spoke about that, how India is rising on the cybersecurity index, despite that our laws, regulation are found wanting, policy is jaded, act is jaded. This means the people who are into cyber domain are doing good, and we should be proud of that. You all guys are cybersecurity enthusiasts, researchers, professionals, and kudos to you all that India is growing in cybersecurity index, and we are now in tier 1, right? So government initiative like Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, as I mentioned, and the benefit transfer schemes have helped in universal access and enhanced financial inclusion in the country. Very, very important. India's digital transformation, I love this 12-digit number, Aadhaar. It's a magic number. Don't you agree? Whether for financial services, tax returns, cell phone contracts, university enrollment, employment contracts of health services, Aadhaar number is used as the standard means of identification. And as a retired person, sir, I love it. Why? पहले बैंक में जाके बताना पड़ता मैं जिंदा हूं तब पेंशन मिलती थी. अभी फोन करो, आधार दिखाओ, घर पे बैठे बैठे जीवन प्रमाण पत्र मुझे मिल जाता है. So don't you think an old man like me is very happy about this? Yes. And it forms the foundation of the India stack. How many of you know about India stack? किसी ने सुना है? Okay, it has got 4 layers. First layer is presence-less layer. Aadhaar gives you a presence-less layer. You can be identified sitting anywhere in the world, right? Just show the Aadhaar number and you are verified. Today, bank account can be opened, your credit card, debit card, everything can be done by identifying your presence-less layer. You need not to be present in the bank, right? Then paperless layer. Today, you can do e-sign, DigiLocker, and eKYC. More than 4.6 billion documents have been issued by DigiLocker, and around 10.4 billion eKYC checks have been carried out. Look at the wonderful thing. Paperless, faceless, and third, cashless, UPI. How much money is there in your purse? Not carrying purse. पंसर आपकी जेब में कितने रुपए हैं? आपकी जेब में कितने रुपए? Zero. And everybody is wearing a good tie and flowing around in the countryside, going abroad. I went to Dubai with 560 rupees in my pocket. I came back with 560 rupees. But whatever I did, it was done through the credit card and UPI. So ladies and gentlemen, you must understand, appreciate what is happening in the world. And once you understand that part, you will never be able to understand what for you are existing, right? And here we go. Consent layer. Today, your data cannot be used without your consent. It can be aggregated somewhere. If you want to remove it, you can remove it. So this is the backbone of India's digital ecosystem. Today, what is Digital India? Digital India is a comprehensive initiative launched by the government in 2015 to comprehensively transform the country. General Pant has already mentioned about how the telecom companies were doing, extending the network and how the Wi-Fi networks are increasing. So it aims to promote what? It aims to promote digital infrastructure, digital competence, and digital services throughout the country. Example, through the development of broadband network, high-speed internet, the availability of digital devices, support for and promotion of innovation centers, and retraining and upskilling for IT specialists, while the India stack focuses on provision of digital tools and infrastructure. Digital India includes many programs and projects for promoting various aspects of digitalization. And this is the beauty. कितने लोग जानते हैं इसके बारे में? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक डिपॉजिटरी बनाया है सिस्टम, नेशनल डेटा एनालिटिक्स प्लेटफॉर्म. हर मिनिस्ट्री के बारे में, हर मिनिस्ट्री के वेरियस डायरेक्टरेट्स के बारे में आप जान सकते हैं. डेटा यू कैन फेच, यू कैन यूज इट, यू कैन एनालाइज इट, यू कैन मर्ज इट, व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू डू इट. एंड दिस हैपेंड बिकॉज ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन, बिकॉज द APIs. And you will be surprised to know in the recent budget what India has done. Just quickly, I will not read it, just to keep on reading it. And घर पे जाके पढ़िएगा, इतना टाइम नहीं बताने का मेरे पास. भारत ट्रेड नेट, नेशनल डिजिटल रिपोजिटरी, ये सब डिजिटाइजेशन का कमाल है. पढ़ते जाइए, पढ़ते जाइए. ये अभी हुआ है, राइट? नेक्स्ट, ये पढ़िए आप. आपको प्रेजेंटेशन आपके बॉस दे देंगे, मैं छोड़ जाऊंगा, बिकॉज अगर मैं टाइम लूंगा तो शाम हो जाएगी. ओके, सो now what I'm trying to explain to you is the digitization is transforming the country into a powerful digital economy. And because of these steps, now 2013 Android payment came, 2014 Apple Pay launched, postcard emulation started, security elements were embedded into your credit card and debit card. And here 2015 Samsung Pay came into play, and then 2015 Android Pay. But they were practitioner in their own domain, but they were not trying to share it. Then what happened? Big tech and government of India, BFSI digitization was taking place. Governance policies were, projects were coming, and they were the transaction and element technologies. I'm talking about the fintech. And innovation, experience, reach was the power of big tech, right? And the government can only facilitate. When they got married, what happened? The government, as Sarah explained, we were working in silos. So siloed, constrained, slow. Here, they had monopoly, privacy, and ownership. But when they got married together, दोनों की शादी हो गई, तो जन्म हुआ इंटरफेस का, जिसको आप कहते हैं UPI, right? So protocols were set of specification, APIs, data model, reference architecture, transaction mechanism, standards, and institutes, policy and governance. All is the game of two people collaborating, right? जब आप शादी कर लेते हो ब्रेकफास्ट मिल जाता है कभी कभी, लेकिन अगर नौकरी करने वाले से करते कुछ नहीं मिलता, बनाना पड़ता है। तो ध्यान से करिएगा। एनीवे, here we go, digitization of economy. We are living in a decade. Do you all agree? Why? Every sector on the mother earth is getting digitized. Even the strategic sectors are getting digitized, and emerging technologies are pumping that, isn't it? And transaction processing is enhancing. $1 trillion 2026 digital economy was said about it, which will go, I'm talking of digital economy, 20% of the main economy, right? 13 to 15 trillion in 2047. अमृत काल 2047 में मैं तो रहूंगा नहीं, आप लोग रहेंगे, अमृत चख लीजिएगा, शायद आप ना मरे, ऐसा होगा नहीं वैसे। What do you aim when you talk of digital? You aim experience and inclusion, you aim social connect interaction, improving public service delivery, making things autonomous, enhancing business value, improves utilization, ड्राइविंग पब्लिक सोशल गुड, इंप्रूव प्रोडक्टिविटी। ये ऐसे नहीं होगा, शादी की बात की थी, फेरे लिए थे, कैसे? एंटरप्राइजेस क्या करेंगे? ट्रांजैक्शन प्रोसेसिंग उनके पास है, इकोनॉमिक वैल्यू क्रिएशन उनके पास है। गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगी? पब्लिक सर्विस डिलीवरी, पब्लिक वैल्यू क्रिएशन, गवर्निंग एंड रेगुलेटिंग। और बीच में कैपेबिलिटीज है, किसकी है? ओईएम्स की, सिस्टम इंटीग्रेटर की है, मोबाइल ओएस लिखा है, देन डिवाइसेस आए, प्लेटफॉर्म्स आए, डिजिटल प्रोडक्ट्स, एलएलएम्स एंड मॉडल्स, एआई डिलीवरी, एंड रिजल्ट इज दिस digital public infrastructure. How do you love it when you go to the airport and nobody checks you? DigiYatra, DigiLocker. All these are results of digital transformation in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us understand API-driven economy. Government has already created API Setu. Setu means bridge. API need not explain, you all know. But क्या हुआ? सारी चीजें आज available हैं आपके, right? These are examples. You know, published APIs are 6,400 plus. And who is publishing? State, central government, and some organization. And if you go online, you will find this number changing. 2,922. When I access this site, there is a number. And this is creating the magic. Today, you have got DigiYatra, you have got DigiLocker, you have got Kisan Patra, and I don't know, many of multiple things which are available in the country, which are actually helping the Indians, right? So digital economy, let us understand the global context. Digital trade contributed 32.5 billion to India's domestic economy in 2017. And it will go to 480 billion by 2030. I'm not saying, Hinrich Foundation report says, but why it is happening? It is happening because technology industry revenue crossed 245 billion. I mean, yesterday's report, this GCCs. How many of you have heard about GCC? कोई तो बता दो यार. Global capability centers, right? The big companies abroad are spending money in India to create that innovation and technology should work. And it is happening in India. And you can read 13,80,000 individuals are employed there. And we have got 46 billion in revenue. And mind you, PwC report says by 2028, it will go into $90 billion. So this is the power. This is the power of this India, vibrant India. Director was mentioning about the younger population. GCC is coming to India, and big companies are using these innovation, these technology to, foster their growth of their company. Right? And digitizing industry sector, BFSI, manufacturing. Then we talk about every product and service getting data enriched, IoT and cloud adding new services line, enhanced data exchanges, focus on emerging technologies, concentrated strategies and budgetary provision. Then we talk about second largest market for digital activities. किसी ने कहा था कि वो हिंदुस्तान आना चाहता है, शायद डायरेक्टर साहब ने कहा था, किसी ने कहा था, वो इसलिए नहीं आना चाहता कि वो देशभक्त हो गया है, वो इसलिए आना चाहता है 140 करोड़ है। आप हिंदुस्तान में कोई भी ऐसी चीज करिए जिससे कि आदमी जुड़ा हुआ है, आप रईस हो जाएंगे। चाहे तो लोकल साबुन बनाना शुरू कर दीजिए, वही बिक जाएगा। यस और नो? कोई भी चीज जिससे इंसान कनेक्टेड है वो बिजनेस मॉडल है। कुछ भी हो सकता है, टूथपेस्ट बेचो, पान की दुकान खोल लो, करके देखो। आईआईटी से निकल के लोग चाय बेचते हैं सर, सॉरी टू से, क्योंकि उनका धर्म पढ़ाना लिखाना नहीं है, उनका धर्म लक्ष्मी है, सरस्वती से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है। सर कुछ भी बिकवा दो, पैसा होना चाहिए। So digital public infrastructure for digitized economy, digital economy to contribute over 20% of the GDP by 2026. So ladies and gentlemen, what are the challenges? Here comes the main game of cybersecurity professional and CISOs. ऐसा ना हो इस प्रेजेंटेशन के बाद आप बोले हमें सीसो बनना ही नहीं है, हम तो यही टीचर अच्छे हैं, पढ़ा लेंगे। साला कैसे बचत करेंगे? दुनिया भर की चीजें बता दी सर ने, ये स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो करो, ये फ्रेमवर्क फॉलो करो, और गर्दन किसी कटेगी? सीसो की। So challenges are expanding digital footprint. We have spoken about it. rising exposure to vulnerabilities, targeted attacks, advancing threat landscape. और ये क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि वो एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं हैकर्स. क्या एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं? Gaps in preparedness and response, loopholes in transaction processing, varied level of awareness. ये उसको एक्सप्लॉइट करते हैं. और लिवरेज किसे करते हैं? कनेक्टिविटी को लिवरेज करते हैं, डिवाइस को करते हैं, प्लेटफॉर्म को करते हैं. एंड न्यू इंस्ट्रूमेंट, क्रिप्टो, एनएफटीज एंड डार्क वेब, डीप वेब पे बिकता है सारा माल. मजेदार बात क्या है? ये सारा का सारा गेम ऑलरेडी सर ने बताया. ransomware and malware, disruption, identity theft, devices application, network and data level attacks, information theft, IPR comprises. These are the threats. और जब ये threats हैं तो क्राइम क्या हो रही है? नीचे देखिए आप. हर तरह की क्राइम है. डिजिटल क्राइम, इकोनॉमिक, साइबर क्राइम, पर्सनल, बुलिंग, स्टॉकिंग, डिफेमेशन, साइबर क्राइम, सोसाइटल, मिसइंफॉर्मेशन, disruption of public order, right? Serious cyber crime, use of internet for all kind of terrorist activities, which sir knows about it because he was in the government. He knows about all these things which cannot be discussed further on that aspect. But the thing is this: why it happened here? These are the constraints. The problem is this: we have got policy and law, but we are lagging somewhere. We have got preparedness, but we are still lagging somewhere. Then we have got technology infrastructure, still we are evolving, right? Then we have got skills and capability. People have spoken about it. Skill gap is there, capability is not there. We at DSCI do capacity and capability building. You will love to hear that. We have created cyber awareness capsule and made school kids of 6th and 7th standard, ताली बजाइएगा, 10,000 students. दोबारा ताली बजाएंगे आप. साइबर शिक्षा प्रोग्राम भी run. Lot of people who know about DSCI, they are BTech IT girls. We pick them up who are from weaker section and we train them for 6 months in cybersecurity, and they're working in big 4 companies. And this has been found mentioned in World Economic Forum report. Thank you so much. So gentlemen, this is the Indian digital landscape. देख लीजिए, 46% increase हुआ है, 172 billion transaction on UPI, right? And कितना पैसा transact हुआ? 247 trillion, which was 35% increase from 2023. क्यों नहीं हैकर आएगा यहाँ? हैकर वहीं आएगा जहाँ रईसी है, correct? In financial year 2024, Amazon India reported operating revenue of 254 billion. लेटे लेटे खरीदते हैं आप, काम पैसा कमा रहा है Amazon. Amazon की फैक्ट्री है क्या? Amazon कुछ बनाता है क्या? और पैसा कमा रहा है आपसे. ये है पावर डिजिटाइजेशन की. यूजर को, क्लाइंट को सप्लायर के पास जोड़, एक छोटी सी ऐप से, और उसमें इंटरव्यू लेता है 8 लेवल के, तब नौकरी मिलती है अमेज़न में, राइट? As of September 29, 2023, the UID has generated 138.08 Aadhaar numbers for Indian residents. This is the beauty. Nowhere in the world, because number is high. Whatever we do is world record, right? In 2024, India had approximately 659 million smartphone users, making the second largest smartphone market in the world. पहले दिल्ली वाले और बंबई वाले अच्छी लिपस्टिक खरीदते थे, अब मेरठ और मथुरा वाले भी खरीदते. नाम ही नहीं सुना होता सर मेरठ में, और उसमें कहाँ कैसे खरीदेंगे? एली मैली मैक शैक पता नहीं क्या क्या आता है, जो कभी विदेश चला जाए तो उसकी बीवी बोलती थी ये लेके आना. अब तो कुछ नहीं है, बस आ जाना, सब यही मिलता है, राइट? ओके, व्हेन दिस हैपेंस, the cyber fraud cost is 177.05 CR, which is more than double the amount lost in 2023. That's why you people are important. Okay, बचा लोगे? इतनी ट्रेनिंग के बाद नहीं बचाया तो तैयार जल जाओगे. ओके, राइट? डिस्टिंक्टनेस, यहां पर आते हैं कि साइबर स्पेस में जहां आप काम करते हैं डिस्टिंक्ट क्यों है ये? व्हाई वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस सब्जेक्ट? ये डिस्टिंक्ट इसलिए है, डिजिटल फॉर्म ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन. आपकी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन डिजिटल है. अगर डिजिटल है तो शेयर होती है. आपको मालूम है आपका डीएनए भी एडिट हो सकता है वर्ड डॉक्यूमेंट की तरह, यूजिंग अ टूल कॉल्ड क्रिस्पर. सो वंस यू डिजिटाइज, यू कैन शेयर इट, एंड एट रैपिड पेस यू कैन शेयर इट. पहले क्या था? कागज है यार, कैसे दें? लिख ले बैठ के यार. अभी क्या है? पीडीएफ फाइल है, जितने मर्जी को भेज दो, सबको भेज दो, एक बटन दबाएंगे सबके पास चला जाएगा. यस और नो? वो सुंदर सी आप फोटो खींचते थे निकाल के और टक से सोशल मीडिया पे. मजेदार बात क्या है सर, आजकल स्टेटस इज डिफाइंड नॉट बिकॉज यू आर अ डायरेक्टर ऑफ IIM, it is defined on what hotel you are sitting and eating what kind of pizza. First you will take a picture, you will upload it, and then you say, oh, I'm sitting in cyber Hawaii. This is the status. It is not connected with you are a lieutenant general or you are a director of IIM. Status is defined by what you are wearing and what you are eating, and that's the reason every शादी the खर्चा बढ़ गया है सर. जितने फंक्शन उतनी साड़ी, क्योंकि फोटो में वो साड़ी दोबारा नहीं आनी चाहिए, ड्रेस दोबारा नहीं आनी चाहिए. लुक एट इट. क्योंकि हम इसलिए मर रहे हैं कि पिक्चर हमारी चली जाए और इंतजार करते हैं कोई अंगूठा दिखाए. जब भी कभी ऐसा हो तो आप बॉलीवुड में तो नहीं है, ऐश्वर्या राय तो नहीं है कि मुड़ मुड़ के ना देख, मुड़ मुड़ के, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। अपने को आईने में देख लिया करिए और तब शेयर किया करिए। ओके, डिवाइसेस एंड कनेक्टिविटी, sophistication and kinetic impact, covert operations are happening because of this. सर ने कुछ deterrence की बात की थी. Then commoditized execution, right? Exposure and extension. Then actors, state and non-state actors, faster and cheaper, and quickest and easiest ways. Quantity of information, persistent, insidious, and threatening. All these aspects make cyberspace distinct from the normal space. So I will not go into detail because it will take 1 hour to explain. Here, weaknesses are there, vulnerabilities are there, and threats are there. And यही problem है कि in complex system, emergent vulnerabilities can arise from unforeseen or unintended consequences of interaction between multiple components. बराबर? Key challenges क्या हैं? Posed by digital transformation. Increased attack surface, data privacy concerns, complex threat landscape, legacy system vulnerabilities, skill shortage. बराबर? Then cross-border cyber threats क्या है? उसका impact क्या है? Critical infrastructure. अगर अटैक होगा तो क्या होगा? वाइड स्प्रेड chaos हो जाएगा. बराबर? Then data breaches and espionage, steal sensitive government data. इसका रिजल्ट क्या है? Compromise national security. Then disinformation campaign, क्या होगा? Social unrest, communal disharmony. Then economic impact क्या होगा? Significant economic losses, eroding investors' confidence. अगर आज आप स्टॉक मार्केट में कोई घपला हो जाए तो मर जाएंगे ना आप लोग. तो hindering economic growth, military and defense vulnerabilities बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है, जो फौजी लोग होते हैं और DRDO साइंटिस्ट होते हैं, उनको पाकिस्तानी लोग एडवर्सरी किसी तरह से पकड़ लेते हैं, क्योंकि होती तो दाढ़ी इतनी बड़ी है, बट नाम रखते हैं वो सुलेखा, और उससे दोस्ती कर लेते हैं लोग, बस जाल में आ जाते हैं. राइट? आना नहीं चाहिए. ओके. तो स्ट्रेटजी टू टैकल, टाइम नहीं है, आप पढ़ लें, ये 4 पॉइंट पढ़ लें, उसको भी समझ लीजिए. राइट? देन 5 पिलर्स, इसको भी जल्दी क्विकली. ओके, राइट, सारी बातें बता चुका हूं. वैसे फ्रेमवर्क होना चाहिए नहीं होना चाहिए रिस्क का. देन एनेबलिंग AI फॉर साइबर सिक्योरिटी, एनक्रिप्शन ऑफ डेटा, माइग्रेशन टू द क्लाउड, इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स, ये पार्ट है इसके. करेक्ट? देन एंटरप्राइज इको सिस्टम क्या है? क्विकली बहुत जल्दी, ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है सबको. डेटा किस प्रकार का होता है, क्योंकि हम लोग डेटा को समझते हैं डेटा है ट्रांजिट, और डेटा जब होता है तो डेटा के कंप्लायंस किस किस से करने, आप लेफ्ट साइड पे देखिए. एंड दीज आर ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ डेटा, कैसे एक्सेस हो रहा है, किस प्लेटफॉर्म से हो रहा है, कहां पर हो रहा है, ज्योग्राफी क्या है. अगर ये नहीं समझेंगे तो डेटा को सिक्योर नहीं कर पाएंगे. और ये सारे के सारे कंट्रोल नीचे दिए हुए हैं, क्या क्या होता है. और अगर डेटा नहीं समझ में आया तो बिजनेस सर्विसेज नहीं बना पाएंगे आप, बिजनेस प्रोसेस नहीं बना पाएंगे, बिजनेस फंक्शंस डिफाइन नहीं कर पाएंगे. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट स्लाइड जेंटलमैन. टाइम इज स्केर्स, राइट? So time is money. So data security and cyber security. On the right side, the AI is enhancing the data security, right? On the left side is normal game. So what is data safety, capabilities of data security? You start with discovering the data, classify the data, then manage the data. Data की masking करो, उसके बाद leak protection करो उसका, फिर incident response management होना चाहिए, उसके बाद database activity monitoring होनी चाहिए, and data access governance होनी चाहिए, and finally you will create data security platform which includes all these things, right? Okay, data security innovation, very quickly, these are the things which I'm explaining to you because this is a technology which everyone has to understand. Something is there, something has to come, right? Security enclaves in hardware, isolated compute environment, confidential computing, security processor, zero knowledge proofs, multi-party computing, data aliasing, tokenization, always on encryption, right? Searchable encryption, post-quantum cryptography, predictive machine learning, differential privacy, blockchain, self-sovereign identity, zero trust. ये सब समझ में आया? अब इसका बच्चा देखो बीच में. Cryptography and data ownership, decentralized computing, hardware and chip level, because you have to go to that chip level. Then modern crypto and privacy preserving. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last slide. You like it? See, widespread deployment of these technology on the left side. On the center, they are on early stage of development, and on the right side is ongoing research. So all cybersecurity professionals must understand and change their DNA. If you do not understand this technology, you'll not be able to safeguard your networks and your system and devices. Right? Okay, good. So what are defensive measures? ये होना चाहिए ना, जनरल पंत इनके इंचार्ज हैं, उन्होंने बनाया था ये, लेकिन अभी तक आई नहीं. Then cyber security workforce deployment, then public private partnership spoken about, critical infrastructure protection spoken about, advanced threat detection system we have spoken about, international cooperation is very, very important, right? Then cyber exercise and drills, very important, they are going on. Then secure software development. And here comes the most awaited slide. ग्लोबल साइबर सिक्योरिटी इंडेक्स 2024 जनरल पंत ने बताया था, मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूं। इसके 4 इंपॉर्टेंट पिलर से, 5 लेवल से: legal, technical, organizational, capacity development, cooperation. India scored 20 out of 20 in legal, in technical, in capacity development and cooperation. We failed somewhere in organizational, where we need to do something. There we scored 18.49 and our score was 98.49, right? Out of 100. So we are now in tier 1. So we must clap for it. And it is not easy. It is not easy. It's not easy. So much of effort has gone. India, with the Act of Parliament, National Cybersecurity Coordinator was created, and things have happened in the right direction. We had an IT Act coming into play. Then 2013, we had a policy. NCIPC, we had a policy. So we policy and governance is actually making it happen, and the contribution of the industrial bodies and people who are around in the cyber domain, which has created the level that we are now going up and up. We are in tier 1 today, right? And here you can see legal measures 20, technical measures 20, 18.49. So we require some improvement here. If you see on the slide, areas of related strength, then area of potential growth are organizational measures. There we have to work a little harder so that we become 100 out of 100. And thank you. Jai Hind. ये निकाल लो भाई अपनी वरमाला।
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your energetic and thought-provoking plenary session and for sharing your expertise on digital transformation and cross-border cybersecurity threats. Let's give a one round of applause to Dr. Vatsa for his knowledge. Next, with this, we conclude the plenary section, and next we will have our first panel discussion on building a Gen AI first organization, Cisco's challenge. For that, we have our experts who are joining for the plenary session, Ms. Shailaja Vadlamudi, Mr. Bastian Robbins, and the moderator of the session will be Professor Sujit Kumar Sharma. I request the experts to please join on the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the panel experts to you. First, we have Shailaja Vadlamudi. She is a global application security leader and VP of Security and Data Privacy, SAPS Labs. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Shailaja leads SAP's global security strategy, spearheading key security initiatives. She has been recognized among the top Indian women influencers in security 2020, top 25 inspiring women leaders, and role model of the year 2024. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you. Welcome. Next, we have Mr. Bastian Robbins, CTO of Clever Insights. He's a seasoned data scientist. Bastian has built AI-driven products across retail, banking, telecom, and government sectors. As a founder and CTO of Clever Insights and the director of data at Elsa Corp, he specializes in scalable AI solution and cybersecurity. Recognized as one of India's 20 most influential conversational AI leaders, he serves as an external examiner at IIT Madras and as a visiting faculty at IIMs and NITs, mentoring students in AI and data science. Sir, welcome to the conference. And for moderating in the session, we have Professor Sujit Kumar Sharma, who is a professor at Decision Science and Information System in IIM Nagpur. He has more than 24 years of teaching experience across India, Oman, and Bahrain. And he has also published more than 50 plus international articles, amazing more than 10,000 Google Scholar citations. Sir, welcome to the conference. And without further ado, I invite Professor Sujit Kumar Sharma to take over as the moderator of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. So, very interesting topic for this panel discussion. We are going to talk about building a Gen AI first organization, CISO challenges. So, to begin with, we see, AI and then Gen AI. This is a kind of paradigm shift in terms of technologies. Prior to these tech, we're talking about cloud, right? So those technologies were different from AI and Gen AI. If you look at the capability aspects of AI and Gen AI, AI comes up with prediction capability. Other technologies were not coming up with this capability. Gen AI comes up with comprehension. Gen AI comes up with perception. So these are the new capabilities. So when we look at new capabilities, then when we are going to use AI, Gen AI in organizations, so we are going to face some new challenges also. So we will try to understand these new challenges. We have these two experts in this panel. So to begin with, I'll begin with Bastin Robbins. So first question to you, Mr. Bastin Robbins, is as we see, there are some challenges we are going to face when we are going to incorporate Gen AI in our operations. In addition to these challenges, there will be some opportunities also. So how do you look at the opportunities and challenges when you as a CTO are going to build your team or as a result organization?
So first and foremost, I really liked when Sir said about like AI and Gen AI difference point of view. So when we really see AI till now, it was very much a narrow intelligence. Like mostly we were been using it by means of your Google Map or any other apps which we were using. But last 2 years, it's totally different. It's like an alien coming into Earth and giving a thumb drive of intelligence, leaving the Earth. And now we are using that without knowing that how the internals of this works. But it really works better than the narrow intelligence. That's what we call it as Gen AI, which is mainly focused on generative artificial intelligence, which is initially a narrow intelligence called AI. But it is having two different edges when you really see from the point of cybersecurity or any domain, right? So we know that like without knowing AI, we started using ChatGPT just like a Google search engine, right? Each and every one of you started using ChatGPT or any different types of models. And you started finding it more reliable. And sometimes most of your mundane tasks are getting sorted with that. Slowly, when the AI is learning from you, you started stopping to learn about things. Now, around 2 years before, I was pretty much very sharp in programming. Today, if you really ask me, I started to forget a lot of things. Writing a mail, today it is there to help. But suddenly I started to see that like mails, whatever I write from my point of view is not more professional. So humans are becoming less intelligent, but systems are becoming more intelligent. Now, from the Gen AI point of view, like what is the opportunity? That is like in cybersecurity space, as yesterday in the session I was already mentioning about this, it is not going to be the topmost attacker who is going to attack you, but the general audience who become an attacker is going to become pretty much broader, right? Because during my college time, when the results are not coming or the website through which the results are not coming, we will be thinking like, how can I hack into that system and get that result, right? So this is a point which everyone has. What if there is a methodology, can I get the results pretty much quickly, right? So today, they can directly go and ask ChatGPT that this is the website, this is the URL, this is the kind of copy, the paste, all the dump inside there and say, can you find out a loophole through which I can send a request, which gives you the code, you run. Now think that in India kind of scenario, young population who is very curious to be a creator or break something and get into or like hack into something and get things done, Gen AI is going to be the key weapon for them. Now you're going to not fight with the top hackers, but the general audience whom you cannot even detect. So the volume is pretty much bigger. So as a CISO, if you are not aware of these technologies exist, then you are leaving a very big threat landscape just like that, right? So I feel it's a balance. It's a balance of understanding one thing. If Gen AI is helping you in one aspect, it is helping your opposition to become 1,000 times powerful than you in attacking you. That's my point of view.
Okay. Thank you, Bastin, for sharing your thoughts. And just to, as he mentioned, like we are becoming dumb and we are making systems or machines smarter. Another example, like we can, recall about 15, 20 years back, how many mobile numbers you used to remember? And today, how many mobile number you remember? Maybe sometimes you might doubt on your own mobile number, whether this is my mobile number, right? Yes. So to take discussion forward, yeah, let's get some insights from Madam Shalja.
Yeah, I think Bastin has already added a lot of context to it. Let me just bring some context from the industrial side of the house, right? Now, everybody is in a mad rush to bring in their own models and to monetize it and to ensure the stocks are soaring higher and higher with all these magical words from the board and all of that. We've been seeing that for a while, but then the first important factor, I think, when the DeepSeek AI has got into the market, right, when NVIDIA started shaking up, so many companies were in a rush to install it or to just consume and see what kind of features it has. And all the CISOs are regretting now because you don't know what is in it. You have opened a box, not sure of the ingredients of it, not sure of the dynamics of it, not sure of the thought process of it. You just want to see it. And there are so many unfortunate situations that happened, which at least we are waiting to see what went wrong, right? So it doesn't mean you have AI, immediately you use the tool without doing a sanity check or so on and so forth. At least from the security side of the house, even if we have to onboard one tool provided by any vendor, right? We just do thorough checking. We directly don't put it into our network in the first place. We are talking about an official authorized vendor who is really a market leader. He's offering us a tool to do some testing or whatever. Even then, we don't do it. But then in the mad rush of competing with each other and using the best of the breed of technologies we have in the world out there, what is happening to all the due diligence, right? I think leaders and their decisions play a very important role to see to that we are not falling into those traps of competing it in not the right senses. Because in the end, everything comes to the CISO's table, everything comes to the security leader's table, right? The board will call you for a meeting and you are answerable, right? Even though sometimes it is not your decision, maybe a CTO or CIO took the decision to add this into the strategy. So these are the consequences of it. And the other side of it, I will also tell you one small example. One day we have our regular meeting and one of my team said, normally once we finish our development, we have to go through a lot of tests and a lot of check boxes and all of that. And one of the tests, our scores are still scoring so low. So I'm asking this team, what's wrong? We did everything to the best of our knowledge and what's went wrong. I think there are tools where we need some manual intervention and we have to give some comments by hand, not by tool yet. And since all of our engineering developers are giving their own set of English and all of that from all states of India, sometimes it's getting messy. And then we got one score less. And then my question is like, okay, now we are talking about these AIs and LLMs of the world. Why can't we call one LLM and automate this process? And then, yes, we did, and we are really good at it. So I think there is a balanced approach of utilizing the technology for good. We always have to understand it's a two-sided sword. You use it for your betterment, or you also use it for your non-existence. Because such challenges, I think we all have seen the world so many times, the supply chain event that happened in US, right? The stock price of that specific company has come down, and there are so many instances where the company ceased to exist because of all these cyber attacks and all of that. Even we already know the latest case of AIMS, right? We just got lucky we have a data backup. Just imagine the world we are living in, and at least this is a messaging to all of us in the room. I think, there are so many leaders out here also from this group as well. It's also about your due diligence and presence of mind. Your intellectual capability is what going to help you to stand out as a leader. Today, we are all talking about AI. Maybe tomorrow we all will talk about quantum, right? That's going to be the next big buzz in the market. So that is how I see we have to take decisions consciously, calculatively, because in the end, if we're not sure about the disaster, if you're not ready for it, I think you shouldn't be laying your hands in the open network inside your company, inside your premises and organization.
Right, right. Yeah, rightly pointed out, like technology comes up with the, positive side as well as negative side, bright side and the dark side. Like, social media. We thought we'll be using social media for sharing information. Then we started sharing fake news, misinformation, right? Something similar about atom bomb. Atom bomb was invented for generating energy, and we dropped at Nagasaki, right? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So like every technology comes up with both sides, bright side and downside. To take discussion forward, we see, you might be familiar with the Gartner's hype cycle. When a new technology comes up, there is a lot of hype around that, and that's good in some way. But over a period of time, it goes down. So in this context, when we look at generative AI, there is a lot of hype around generative AI. And when we are going to use generative AI in cybersecurity management, there is a lot of hope, lot of potential, but at the same time, it may lead to some disappointment. So as a CTO, as a technology leader, how you look at this scenario?
So, like Shailaja mentioned about when the DeepSeek was already introduced, like every one of us feel like it's something excited, and there was news was over exaggerating that China is leading by the way of America, and all these things were happening. But we were behind the news, but we were not behind the technology, what it involved, right? It was not China who did that work. It's because of US, which has open source some of its core papers and core models. DeepSeek was able to exist. And same time, today, if you see, if you open LinkedIn, and since last 1 year, every day one new model is coming, right? When a new model come, it's not a new innovation. You need to understand that a model has only either two ways, either a supervised like fine tuning, or a reinforcement based fine tuning. Anything which comes is basically a variant of that, right? So what happens is, like, this market is pushing everyone that like we have to be on the edge, and someone will come and say like, hey, we have a model for cybersecurity, you can adopt that and use it. That's not how it works. If you really ask me, that is overconfidence. So most people who went and installed DeepSeek, they don't even know that the DeepSeek models were pinging us a Chinese server. It is happening. So end of the day, if you go and ask anything about China, there is a censorship on that DeepSeek models. It won't give you the answers. So end of the day, you're talking to a biased model, but it may be very intelligent. One great thing which has happened to DeepSeek is the way it generates data was inspired. Now that has been taken by OpenAI, everyone. But the data as the base is what makes sense. See, one good thing which I really see from a technology or CTO standpoint is, see, for example, we build products and we write a hell lot of code in different areas. But to bring that code into an acceptance level, we need to run several levels of test cases. These kinds of model, simple logic, you take a very simple model, which is almost like 1 billion parameter model. 1 billion parameter means it can run on a 1 GB or 2 GB of space, which can fit into your mobile itself today, because your mobile phones are 8 GB minimum nowadays. Take that model, which knows basic mathematics, basic computation, basic what is logic, reasoning ability. Now you have your complete documentation, right? Your company, your product documentation, how the API documentation, all these things are. Yesterday, I was just taking this particular small model, and I was training my entire documentation. I converted, using an AI, I converted that documentation into a data set. Then I trained to this small model. that model is able to give me more precise outcome, more variable outcome. That, like, for example, there is a function, this is how I give input output. So like that 3 combination if I give, then the model, the data set is enough for a model, because it will do the combinations. If you increase the temperature, it will start creating combination. Now, good thing is I can create even hundreds of test case for one single function. Same time, I can ask the same model to review my code and give me a result. It's solving my very big problem, that is finding edge cases in my product. Second thing is, I can increase customer experience without creating customer friction, onboarding or user experience friction. I can use these tools. Now, for this, I'm not going to use OpenAI model or anything, which is available free of cost, which is completely free as an open source, which is only going to be running on my system without an internet. That is what I prefer. So don't jump into something, someone telling that, okay, this is the toppest model in this category. The toppest model may be great in general reasoning's capability, but for industry specific point of view, overhyped models are not acceptable. The baseline models above which your documentation, your knowledge base is built is going to be your gold mine.
Yeah, over to you, madam, for the same question, if you can share your thoughts.
Yeah, if I have to sum up what Bastin said, it is like over-reliance on AI models is not safe. We have to use it in a very systematic way. And the other aspect is there are a lot of biases in the models, right? And again, talking about the DeepSeek, right? We can't just let go this panel without talking about it. So there was a question asked. I'm not sure how many of you watched this video on LinkedIn. It says, is this going to save the data? Yeah. The first answer is yes, and then immediately change the answer. And then it says, I don't know, something else. There was a short video clip that was, flowing all around LinkedIn and all of that. And generally, whenever you have these AI models, right, how transparent are these models? What are the boundary lines that you have set up for your models, right? That is really important. What are the guardrails? Because yesterday I was talking to my friend and she was also telling whenever, for example, the example she quoted really caught my attention. It was like you're building up an AI model to help a doctor to prescribe some medicines to a pregnant woman, right? Here, the data that is fed into the model is really clear. You can't give any medicine that will lead to an abortion. Very simple, common sense, right? You as a doctor, if you just go and ask any medicine for abortion, it will say, sorry, I'm not supposed to do that. But then if you put in stressful use case about like, I'm getting very stressed and, I'm not able to take up, or I'm going to break up with my boyfriend or husband, or so on and so forth. And you put up all this, human element into it. At some point, it will break the rule. And then it will say, this person who is going to talk to that model is going to say, if this is not happening anyways, I end up my only option is to end my life. And in this stressful situation, the model will propose a medicine. Just imagine this. You can always fool the model around. Right. So these are really important, like when we are using these models and deciding the guardrails and all of that and testing the models, because recently there was a joke on the floor because some of our kids are in higher grades and some of them are going to college. Someone came and was asking me, what is the best engineering? I said, can anyone guess? I said, it's the prompt engineering. Yeah. The better you can tweak it and all of that. And what kind of biases? It's not really about you feeding biases into the model. The model it's on its own, right? With generative AI and agentic AI, I think world looks really very promising. At the same time, very, very, very challenging on the other side of the house. We don't know where these models are taking us and so on and so forth. So it's really important. There is an transparency in your model. And first of all, the author who created that model, right, has to know what is the expected behavior out of the model. That has to be really done. And then from the other side of it, from the security side of the house, like when we are testing these models, there are not so many use cases out there in the market for us to test. And we haven't still have seen or experienced an explosive AI case where it has gone beyond hands, right? I think we are waiting for all those cases ahead and so on and so forth. So it's really important, like, you train the model, and then there is a lot of transparency, explainability, and I'm also so happy to see how the regulatory landscape is also evolving in this AIs and all of that. I think regulators, sometimes it's very painful for me sitting in here. I have to look into so many regulatory landscapes depending on sometimes the country that we are offering our products and all of that. But on the other side, it is also good for us. Without these guardrails, so many companies will not even have the time to think about it, because in the end, everybody is in their competition to bring out the best of the products using all these technologies. And nowadays, I think, beginning of last year, I attended a conference, and at least we have to say security space is one of the early adapters of AI. If you see any of the products and services that are being offered, everything is having this AI flavor, not for the heck of it, but really using AI, and then have consumed it to the most of it. But then again, you have to really know the balance and really be stringent on your guardrails for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So now to take discussion forward, I think I'll take some questions from audience. If audience will not ask question, then I'll go for one more round. Okay. So let's give priority to audience questions.
Hi, this is Rupa. I'm from Bangalore. The question is, now there are many AI models coming in, right? We have DeepSeek, we have OpenAI. Now every country is trying to build their own sovereign models. Like France had one recently. India said they will have one in 6 to 8 months. So when we have so many models, and predominantly the countries are trying to develop, which is sovereign to their own country, which means there will be definitely certain bias elements. So as an organization, how do you decide on which model you adapt? Because there are global organizations, right? It's no more organization limited to a particular country. You're spread across the global. Yes, you will have to respect the respective regulations of the individual country. But at the same time, how do we adapt? How do we decide which model is the best for the organization?
So this is a common question most people ask, like as the space of large language models or small language models are bombarding, like how can I decide as an organization which one to adhere with? If you ask me, I would say pick a baseline model and train your data about that. So how to pick a baseline model? If you go to a model leaderboards are there, if you see there are 10 to 20 different characteristics of models are being ranked based on, which are good in reasoning, which are good in recall, like that different aspects are there. So if you wanted a model which should be good in reasoning, there are one set of models. And among that, I always prefer go with the most smallest one. Because the large models will be already with a lot of information over trained onto them. But the baseline models are the one which are more attractive to me. They are called the SLMs, not LLMs, small language models. Those are easy to run, number one. Number two thing is they are not being exposed to a large scope, right? For example, you maybe for the cybersecurity, you take a baseline model, which is pretty small, and you train it onto it. And most important thing is these model should be a part of a workflow, not as an independent entity. Because that workflow, which is in your intranet, it's been exposed to your own data, where your data is also need to be regulated. Then this model should, in an incremental way, it has to learn, and that becomes intelligent. It takes time. But if you see in the market, there are a lot of ready-made models are there, which I will not give any guarantee words, or I will not recommend anyone also. The best way is pick a baseline model using the leaderboard, find which one fits into your need, like based out on those characteristics, and train it above your knowledge base. And that becomes your best thing. And cost of running that is also very, very cheap than using these more expensive generalized models.
So, Madam Salja, you want to add something, or we can take? Yes, next question. Sir, you will not get a chance. Let's. Okay.
Morning, ma'am.
So,
A small question. Myself, Isha Goyal. from GAIL India. Nowadays, mostly PSUs are moving from SAP to HANA. And I think I want a few glimpses from SAP India where Gen AI is being used. One LLM model you have already told.
Yeah,
few more.
actually, when you look into our entire product portfolio, right, we don't have any choice now without having AI or LLMs. We don't have the option to not have them. But if you have any specific product that you're already using from GAIL, right, I can also connect you to my teams and they can walk you through all the models. And I think we will not talk about LLM models. We are only talking about agentic AI now. Yeah, HANA. Yes, yes. And we have our BDC business data cloud that is, also revealed last week, which will really going to change the game for SAP for us.
Give mic to sir.
This is question to Madam Shailaja. Whenever I think SAP, it is a manufacturing product. That's what I used to think for the last 30 years. No, I'm just telling you. So, because we have some executives here coming from gas industry, British Petroleum, GAIL, and all those things. So, you can give one example, how to train a model so that the machine doesn't fail, or machine will fail after 2 days or 3 days. How will you train that model? Suppose you make a model, you should not mislead me. Oh, okay, go and repair the machine. Then I'll be wasting my energy, resources, and all those things. Give me some insight to us, how to use those models so that I reduce my money. Otherwise, it is going to be a waste for me from the manufacturing perspective.
So your question is around how are you going to put in all the data into the model, but then the model shouldn't break.
Yes.
Then you have to use a HANA, right? HANA DB is the way to go forward.
Okay. Okay.
No, actually, talking about this, right? Not only just about the model on the cloud, let me just change the perspective here. We are an enterprise resource planning company. We just not only cater to manufacturing, we just, when people ask me, right, this is my 19th year at SAP, and people ask me this question, are you not getting bored? I said, when we touch every system in the world possible, every business under the sun is what maximum part is what we own. And when we say this also comes with pride, also comes with a lot of responsibility and ownership, right? Even I think we have already proved it in the cloud. Of course, we are not at there, but then in all of our offerings that we have, but we have so many offerings like S4HANA and all of that, where all the major companies are running the business in the cloud, trusting us, moving in from the on-premise, this huge, large systems, which has so many volumes of data and so on and so forth. Since we have done this stint once on the cloud, I think even with the AI model, depending on how much our data we give the model and all, we just ensure there is a really minimal, downtime. That system will not crash or break. All those, and also we are talking about so much of innovation happening in the in-house, right, on the fly, with all this agentic AI, with all this quantum and all. We are also counting on all the upcoming technologies. There's a lot of work going in, which we will not be able to, reveal it here as well. But that's the, confidence that we all have.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Satish and I'm from Bangalore, working in Citibank. So my question on guardrail. So generally when we use like any agentic AI and when we build more like agent, obviously the cost will increase. So banks will always think about like ROI, return on investment, when we touch base to any vendor. So what parameter we should consider when we choosing the like any vendor in terms of return on investment to take care of?
Okay, so today, as the second part of the talk mainly is on, we spoke about LLMs, SLMs. Now they call it as agentic AI. So agentic AI, first and foremost thing, most people think agentic AI means it's an agent doing everything else. It's simple thing. You create one particular app which connects to all this thing. For example, I wanted to go from here to Bangalore, and my stay has to be planned is what my prompt is. Now there are multiple players comes into the picture. One is Clear Trip or Make My Trip. Second thing is the booking.com. Next thing is Uber. All these are going to become one agents. Okay. Same like how you use an app. And orchestrating those separate agent is nothing but ClearTrip is an agent, Uber is an agent, all this thing. How can I create one agent as my own, which can orchestrate my entire process on a timeline? Because you have a timeline. This booking is having a timing. So if I just say that initially what will happen is if I'm creating an agent like that, it will directly go and book the Uber first sometimes or create the ticket. Then it will go and book the thing which will not be in a sequence at which my travel plan is. So whenever agentic AI, someone is telling this is what you have to keep in your mind, that these models can create a plan for you and execute that plan connecting with these vendors. Now, every vendor has their own guardrails. You have your own guardrails. Guardrails is nothing but there are do's and don'ts you are setting to the models. So the cost involved is not going to be so high because it's going to be a part of the system itself. Because the models itself, you are giving this prompt. These guardrails are special prompts which you give it to them. So on a slow and steady pace, it will progress and start creating more and more different guardrails, and they themselves understand and eliminate things or modify things in the upcoming time. So I don't think there is a big cost involved in the guardrails during the agentic process, because in agents itself, every agent is having a constraint. You cannot cross that constraint and do things.
Yeah. All right. So just to add to this point, when we look at the business value of IT, take any IT, we should not go with the NPV. We should look at some tangible benefits and some intangible benefits. Some IT investments takes time to give you returns. Like we build a let's say this hall, and from tomorrow onwards we can start getting return. But when we are investing something in IT, it takes time. We cannot expect that return will get to start from tomorrow onwards. So let's take one more question. Yes, from the side. Yes, here.
Hello, my name is Devashi Sharma. So my question is regarding accuracy of the prediction result of AI. So as yesterday we talked about whether Virat Kohli will be able to complete 14,000 runs in upcoming series or not. So getting the information, and if we include the personal information in the AI, for example, his mental health, his medical health, his fooding behavior, then what do you say if the percentage of prediction will be increased, or what it would be?
Theoretically, if you give the information, there will be percentage increase in that. But generally, AI does not look into your PII. Number one thing is AI looks for the patterns only. It does not mean whether it is I or Virat Kohli. Sometimes my day is good and I'm great, I may be best. Right? So this is a misconception. Most people think like generally most of these AI models are trained removing your PII informations. Even if you give it to it, end of the day, that's not going to be considering more. But for a prompt or a ChatGPT or any point of view, it will refer to your name. But you as a person doesn't make sense. But as we see about the accuracy of this, so this AI is like a simple human like you only, but who is going to work for me without money, forever, without tired? 100 times I give a task, it will do the task. So if you ask him, he's superhuman? Yes, he's superhuman. Is he super intelligent? I cannot say. Because when a human cannot have that super intelligence that much easily, AI also cannot have like that. But it is a superhuman. It will work for you till the end without tiresome. Yesterday you saw like we were creating an app on live without any hesitation. It was keep on giving the answers. So that is like you have a personal, a personal assistant who is ready to do any work for you without money. But super intelligence is very subjective.
Thank you.
Now it's 12:30. we can take one more question and then we'll close. Yeah.
Hey, sorry. My name is Jain. So I have a question from to Shailaja ma'am. So what happens about the AI tool? It looks very nice. We can generate the code, but in reality, AI tools are not like it's not allowed in the organization itself. Most of the organization. In fact, my last organization, it was a crime. If you are opening a chat GPT on your laptop, it like you are being treated as a crime, and then CISO are generating a mail. Don't open or don't post any code in the chat GPT of any of the tools. So how you deal with this such a issues, like you are encouraging the Gen AI, at the same time you are not allowing your employee to use it. Then we are using WhatsApp and we are going here and there and then generating and referring the data. So in reality, what happens?
Yeah, actually, it's like you're putting your gold outside without a locker. Will you leave your gold with the current price today, 8,000 plus per gram? You're leaving your gold mine into someone else's hands, not knowing what is happening to that, and it's my intellectual property. Once you're working for a company, you're supposed to have that property within your safe, right? You will not leave, because in the end we say whatever code you're writing, maybe there's something which is patented or some algorithm which is your IP, intellectual rights, right? So normally organizations don't encourage putting up your real code into all these chat GPTs or whatsoever. But each and most of the organizations have our own LLMs inside, which were also offered by Microsoft and Google and so many of them, which we allow our developers to go and do practices there. But not even, for example, I'm not sure. I think most of you in the room might know, right? If you want to go and patent one idea, for example, if I want to write a technical paper to submit in any of this research groups and all of that, I will always go and search on Google Scholar, Google and all of that, and even GPTs. But if it is for patent, at least our patent officers say, don't even go and check that idea in Google. So when you're talking about, organizations are not allowing, I really appreciate the efforts they're putting in. That is the way moving forward. But each and every organization has bought their own flavor of LLMs, and they have put up their guardrails, and they're available in the companies to allowing people to work. To answer your question. Yeah.
So adding on to it, like as most of organizations are saying no to this models only because of one reason, your data is going to the cloud and getting processed there. If it is in your own space, no problem at all. Last time when ChatGPT was released, most people were like encouraging to use that, but Samsung's engineers, they check their code corrections in ChatGPT. When someone asked for the same prompt, the same code was coming. That's how everyone got an idea that okay, my code is getting trained, my intellectual property getting trained. But in our organization, we just run our own instance, run a baseline model which is totally isolated. That is 100% accepted. Second thing is you can use desktop based LLMs like Olama, which can run on your desktop without sending any information outside. So it's not like Gen AI is like, don't try AI, but don't try anything which is connected to the cloud, which is having intellectual property.
All right. So I should not take, more time from next panel. I have already consumed 3 minutes. So let's go to the next panel. Let's close it here. You can talk to, experts during lunchtime or even post lunchtime during some, tea time or interaction. So I would like to thank both panelists. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, dear panelists, and Professor Sujit for moderating this session. Next, we will have our second panel. After a short break for 5 minutes, we will resume back by 12:40. Let's have a short bio break. Thank you. I request everyone to join back. We will be starting shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our second panel of today, which is on career in cybersecurity, having the right skills and opportunities. For this panel, the experts we have are Shobha Jagpal, Commander Sanjeev Singh, Ms. Meenati Misra, and for moderating the session, we have Ms. Geeta. Please, experts, please join on the next. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take a moment to introduce our experts to you. First, we have Shobha Jagpal. She is a Global Chief Control Officer and India's Chief Information Security Officer. Ms. Shobha serves as a Global Chief Control Officer for Technology as part of the Cyber Data Risk and Resilience Department. As a CCO, Shobha is responsible for strengthening technology's controlled environment, mitigating potential risk, and promoting culture of compliance. As a India CISO, Shobha partners with India businesses lead to manage cyber controls, govern cyber regulatory requirements, and mitigate security risk. And business leads to manage cyber control and govern cyber disrupting threats. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you. Welcome to the conference. Next, we have Commander Sanjeev Singh, who is a CISO and Data Protection Office, Birlasoft. As a veteran cybersecurity leader, Commander Sanjay Singh brings expertise from both corporate world and from Indian Navy. At Birlasoft, he leads enterprise security and ensures regulatory compliance across multiple geographies. Previously at Deloitte Risk Advisory, he managed cyber threat detection and response services. Sir, it's an honor to have you. Welcome to the conference. And next we have Meenati Misra, Director of Product Security at Philips Health Tech in Bangalore, India. She has over 25 years of experience in the field of software engineering and security. She leads the Security Center of Excellence at Philips, which has achieved the first UL firm registration in the medical industry. She steers organization-wide initiatives around harmonizing SBOM generation, securing cloud application, implementing DevSops, and securing product development in lifecycle practices. Ma'am, welcome to the conference. And for moderating the session, we have Ms. Geeta Kondikar. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm introduction. And good afternoon. And sorry to be in between you and the lunch, so you can bear with us for about 30 minutes. So I'm quite excited to be here again, as you said in the morning, at this Cybersecurity Resilience Conference and also moderating this interesting session. I think this is the most, this is a session which has a lot of impact on you because you're all building your careers. And that's the reason you are here at IIM. So our panel is going to, they're all experienced practitioners who are handling big challenges, global challenges day in and day out. And they will be sharing their personal experiences as well as, probably set the direction for your future course of action. And before I turn to my panel, I just wanted to understand a few things from you. So you're all working professionals, and you'd agree that the complexity is the biggest enemy of security. You agree or not? Yeah? Okay. So can anyone tell me, it's a wild guess, of course. There's nothing like right or wrong answer. How many in an organization, and some of you are from IT services company and some are from the other enterprises. How, on an average, how many security tools an organization uses to protect its data against threats? And on an average, how many security vendors a large enterprise would work with? Any guess? How many vendors they work with? Good, that's a good thing. And how many security tools an organization can deploy? Or, sorry, 9 to 13? Sorry? Could you be louder? Okay, okay. Good. I think you're not wrong either, but still, the ambiguity here is on an average, an enterprise uses 10 to 15 vendors they work with. Could be small, big, and with a third party. And altogether, on an average, 10 to 15 security vendors each organization works with, and maybe around 60 to 70 security tools they would like to deploy within their organization across their branches, across their offices to secure their ecosystem. Don't you think it is alarming? It's a big thing, right? It's a lot. So then what does it mean? It means that it results into bigger ambiguities, bigger complexities for you as a security practitioner, professional, to tackle those products. First of all, your entire time goes into, building a relationship, tackling these vendors, managing this vendor sprawl, product sprawl. And where do you have the time to do other things, which is more demanding, meet your regulatory compliance and other things? So what does it mean? What does it require? It requires right skills, right strategies, right tools, and right capabilities, which means you need to build your skills across the spectrum. So here is a panel are going to share how they manage all these things and still be ahead of the curve when it comes to attacks. Welcome, panel again. Sanjeev, I turn to you just to begin with to set the context. We are seeing rapid digitization across enterprises to drive innovation, which is adding to the complexity, like our speakers earlier mentioned. And that also results in increased vulnerabilities, increased exposure to the external threats. So as a result, the daunting task for all the professionals here would be to develop diverse skills to safeguard the data. So at this point in time, where are the shortcomings and what needs attention?
Thanks, Geeta. A wonderful question, and lovely to be amongst all of you here. I think we saw in the morning when General Pant, AVM Vacha was talking about, as well as Director was talking about, the rapid pace of innovation happening in this field. And so probably this is one of the fields, one among the few globally, where if you're static, you're dead. And everything is changing. The attack vectors are changing, the attack surfaces are changing. And on the defensive side, your types of controls, type nature of security vendors, etc., are changing. So, as you rightly asked about, the skills required to navigate this extremely dynamic waters is one, you have to be technically competent, which is, I'm happy to be talking here in front of all of you because you all have decided to invest in yourself to learn about latest and build a very strong foundation, which I feel is extremely important because without a strong foundational knowledge of cybersecurity, it's nearly impossible to be at the cutting edge. And again, the people whom we are fighting are those threat actors, malicious actors, etc. They are extremely motivated to attack you. Then the only way we can beat them or at least match them at their game is to try and remain aware of our own security vulnerabilities, know what to do with it. And just as an example, 2014 was the first time I heard Mr. Rob Joyce, who then used to be leading the TAO team, the Tailored Access Operations, which is the offensive team of NSA in US. And then later he was director NSA also. One quote I liked from him, because they're the guys who go and hack the entire world, is before they go and target an adversary, they ensure that they know more about the adversary than the adversary themselves. And that's what we're dealing with, right? Somebody who's motivated enough to invest in knowing about you and your organization more than what you know about it. So I think the first skill is learning, remain at the cutting edge, know what's happening in the world. Second is to understand our own weaknesses, because nobody can be Superman or Superwoman and know everything. To have certain soft skills like team building, communication, because in security, we are responsible for a lot of things, but not accountable for them. We help or work with different function owners. They are accountable for their own functions like HR, finance, etc. You may advise them, you may tell them what to do, but you can't own their functions, right? So you work with them, help them to improve their own or improve security of their functions. And that's why, again, it's important that we are able to talk in terms of the business language. We have to showcase that we understand their concerns or their language, talk to them, introduce the security conversation in that, try and build security as early as possible in that part of the process. So these soft skills, which is what team building, you need to be able to build and maintain a very strong, motivated team. And you need to be able to communicate with the business. So that level of knowledge, the soft skill required to work with different stakeholders, I feel is very, very important.
I think you are spot on, Sanjeev. It requires, you need to bridge the silos, which is the most weakest part of any kind of security. So Shobha, turning to you, you have been managing the entire portfolio, product portfolio across and so many vendors, as we said the context. So do you think the security teams have the right skills and approach to manage them? And what is missing? So maybe you can elaborate on a few anecdotes that your experiences and what needs to change.
Thank you, Geeta. Thanks for having me here. It's really a pleasure to be in this campus and get this opportunity to share my views with all of you. I will just take an example in terms of product development. I think one thing I see lacking in our ecosystem, specifically in our country, is the quality of products that come out from innovations that happen in India. So we are not known as the number one hub for any innovative solution that is offered globally. So that is one gap I see. There could be many or there could be none. It's just my view. But to address this, what can we do is the basic question that we will have to think through. I think Sanjeev touched upon it, right? So one is a retrospective about ourselves.
So are we technically skilled enough? Are we subject matter experts in our own areas? And then do we also have the equivalent communication or business and influencing skills? Have we developed ourselves in those two, this area as well? Not just the technical subject matter expertise, but also the soft skills that Sanjeev spoke about. These are basic foundational aspects that we need to pay attention. And now that you are all batch 2 passing out in colors in, I would say, next few days, what is that you're going to do as next, I would say, step in your career? So whichever, I would say, area that you hop onto, what are the things that you can take care of? So if you are choosing a path wherein you are the product owner or a program manager or a project manager, I believe passing out from IIM, those are the opportunities in terms of management streams that you can start looking at. So how can you be looking at a holistic view and just not stop there, go deep and go to the, I would say, micro steps in order to figure out, you understand top to bottom or front to back on all aspects of a project or a product or a program that you are taking an initiative to lead on. So that is one thing I would say. Because sometimes what happens, Sanjeev also touched upon a model, a shared model, right? We are responsible for a lot of things, but we cannot take the accountability. So that means what you can do is just get the information, collate the information, and you got to keep on inferencing things. So in that way, how do you put a nice structure to it? How do you go and convey the exact relevant aspect to a particular stakeholders? Who are your major stakeholders? Who have a buy-in in what is that they give to you and what is that you give to them, right? So those are major areas I feel from a product perspective, the maturity perspective and individual perspective, we should start looking at. Another major aspect is all of us use I would say, a lot of products, right? It could be a table, it could be a chair, it could be any of the apps that we have in our mobiles and various types of vendor provided devices as well. What do you think is most acceptable for us in terms of product? I think the one which is most user friendly, easy to adapt, is the one people will use more. So if you make things difficult for your consumers or customers or clients, they will not come for you. So if you want to attract, if you want to retain, if you want to be the best, you should probably do the best, easy to use, keep it simple as much as possible, and provide an experience that is something people will not be ready or willing to give up, right? So that is the kind of a model or a structure you got to develop when you're offering a service in any respective area you're working. And coming back to the cyber or the security aspect of it, no matter what you do, sometimes always we lean in and complete the scope of work or the functionality, but you should always have a cyber aspect or an element to it. What if something happens? Is it resilient? What if something happens? Do I have an alternate flow to take care of it? What if something happens? Will I be able to recover? What if something happens? So you need to keep on asking those 5 whys and have an answer within yourself before you go and convince anyone or ask anyone for anything. Those are another few areas that you can probably focus and concentrate on.
Right. I'll come back to your technical question, Shobha, from your experience. So turning to Miniti, you represent the critical healthcare sector, which is highly regulated sector, and also have set up the Security Center of Excellence, right? And what kind of risk do you think do you face, and what kind of skills are necessary to tackle these threats as the threats are growing in real time? So some skills, where are the gaps and what needs to be done to fill those gaps? Maybe that would help that.
Okay. No, thank you for being there in the last session before the lunch. And thank you, a lovely campus, lovelier people. So thank you so much. Okay, so question is, what are the risks we see and how do we really scale up to that? Okay. So what I'll do is maybe I'll start with the story of the Security Center of Excellence, and I'll give a context. So at Philips, I set up the Security Center of Excellence about 9 years back with the aim of securing the product development lifecycle. Okay. And the journey was something like this. We started with ethical hacking. And 9 years back, security was not that happening as it is now. So there was a vision that we need to scale up. We started small. And year on year, strategically, we built on capabilities. We started with ethical hacking, and then we expanded to mobile application hacking, web application, Bluetooth, IoT, AI, ML, and so on. But that's the offensive part of it. And offensive is just to demonstrate to the businesses that this can happen. And we really need to go beyond it. And that's when we actually built tools which had to be deployed centrally across the organization. And that helps the businesses because we decrease the entry barriers for people to adopt the tools. Those were all centrally funded. And even as leaders, you're going to be, when you set up a center, make it easy for adoption. As already cited by my co-panelists, make it easy for adoption. And what we did to make it easy for adoption, number one is for every assessment that we do, it was not charged. It was centrally charged at organization level, but we made it as simple as possible for businesses to reach us. Number one. Second thing, as in any regulated industry, we need to have policies. So what we did is we included security into the policy, thereby mandating everybody to go through it. Okay, so that would enable you as a leader to move fast with least friction. Secondly, we also enabled users with tools, security tools to be used in the development environment. And again, this was centrally managed, so easy for adoption. Third, we looked at the offensive side, we look at the tooling. On the defensive side, we enable the businesses to adopt DevSecOps, move security left, and we have a team which basically does risk assessment, threat modeling, and so on, ensuring that the entire development lifecycle security is handled by us. At least we are able to give guidance to the right people. And there was a saying, there was a tagline in one of the presentations. Every data has a story. And by this means we're collecting a lot of data of the organization, okay? And it's an internal data. And we mine the data to see which business can be imparted, which kind of training, so that their maturity improves. And I'm happy to say that that improvement we have seen over the years. Because even though we are testing more applications, we are doing more risk assessments and so on, the number of issues that we see is on the decline. And that's a testament to the maturity of the organization. And that's how we build on the data. We also do a lot of workshops which are basically tailored for the business based on what are the gaps, and we tailor it. So that's why insights really help you deliver the best and mature the organization faster.
Interesting. So before I turn to the panel again with the full set of questions, if you all have any questions, feel free. Yes, please go ahead.
Ma'am, because you all head security and being the CISO, I'm sure you're very close to the business. The question is, today in the era of so much of evolution in technology and so much of evolution that's happening in the business, time to market is very important. So often there is a conflict saying cybersecurity is a blocker than an enabler, right? Because it's an additional step. I mean, we tell people that you have to follow your secure by design so you don't have a security debt. But it's always seen as an additional step and a blocker. Minathi, you did mention about, you do a risk assessment and there are vulnerabilities coming from that risk assessment, which people have to fix before they go into production. So how do you balance this with the business today, right? When there is a conflict of time to market, and yes, at the same time, you have to have a secure product.
That was a good thing. It's more about security by design to meet the requirement, speed to market. Yes.
Yes.
Amenity.
So maybe I'll talk from the healthcare perspective. Okay. What makes our life a bit simpler is because these healthcare organizations, or even for that matter, financial organizations, are very tightly regulated. And we really need to give the proof of due diligence for every product that we enter into major markets. Okay, say for example, for US, we have to give evidence of secure code analysis, pen testing, threat modeling, risk assessment, and so on. Like 13 documents we need to give. Okay, so there is no way people can escape that route. So because of that, it's embedded in the policy. Now, it can be an irritant, and our goal is to minimize the irritation. And for that, we actually are innovating quite a lot to ensure that security is as seamless as possible. And maybe I won't take more time, but there are a lot of examples in which we try to integrate into the development cycle.
And just add on to it, no matter what we do, how we enable as simple as remediating some 50,000 vulnerabilities. I'll just take an example, right? When a scan happens, there'll be thousands or lakhs of vulnerabilities the scanner will spit out. We can't fix everything, right? We have to offer the best product. You just can't do it. It is practically impossible. So I think a risk-based approach on what needs to be done and how it needs to be done, and coming to an agreement on a possible time frame to address the risk is one approach to take. And second one is the cyber team or the security team is always treated as someone who is not business friendly, right? So as Minati said, it is important to see how you can make it as self-service and as user-friendly as possible, offering the tools at the back end. As I said, see if you can enable them with shift left strategy by integrating the needed tools. Can you give them a hand holding when they fix certain things? You retest it after a certain period. Can you allow them to go, but then have a close watch on what is running in production and externally exposed, but then also have a concrete plan on when it will get fixed? It's always a balance on how you want to enable, what is the risk you're standing on, and how do you approach in meeting that business requirement. Obviously, if the business is not running, you don't have a job. So how do you enable the business is the basic element, and what risk is acceptable for us at, I would say, is the firm is a decision that needs to be collectively taken. It can never be one person's decision. I want this to be fixed. I will not allow this to go until this is fixed, right? It can never be like that. It will be a collective decision between various teams and agreeing to a risk appetite and then following on the next steps.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So great answer, Shobha. I just wanted to add one thing to it. So there is one universal rule in cybersecurity. Any risk, the earlier you detect, the cost of mitigating that risk would be much lower, right? So that model works. You want to go fast to market, you develop, you don't care about security, but later on you want to slap security over it. And then lots of vulnerabilities do come out. Today, the consumer is also getting smarter. We have data privacy laws globally in over 170 countries. If you're working with data of consumers, especially, you have to be careful whom you're targeting, because if you're not able to give at least a minimum level of assurance that you're going to keep their data secure, consumers may not flock. The world is full of graveyards of great ideas, great products, but bad implementation, right? You do not want to be in that. And that's why I feel something that we have adopted now, we are not a product company, but internally we do have a large base of developers, is to actually enable them and empower my developers with security. I keep training them, keep pushing them. And as a result, we realize that actually our time to develop and roll out to production has come down by 40%. Because earlier they used to develop, give it to us for testing, we would test, go back to them, make them correct, by which time they're no longer interested. They moved on to some other project already, right? So they would now take a couple of weeks to come back, retest, etc., back and forth. Now we have embedded security right into their ID as part of their pull request when they are uploading code to the cloud, etc. Static and dynamic testing as part of the development process. And the overall time has actually come down.
Interesting. So it's all boils down to data is not no longer oil, new oil, it is uranium now. Data. So yes, we had a question.
Hello, panel. My name is Gaurav Gupta. I am from SLB, formerly known as Lumberjay. We keep on hearing data is new oil, data is new oil, and Dr. Vatsa also said the same, right? So my question to you, Commander Sanjeev. So what is the biggest challenge that you see in the current threat landscape, and how do you address them? My second question is for the panel. So for an individual, how important it is to get a hands-on experience for the issues that we are seeing in cybersecurity, and what platform do you suggest? Thank you.
Right. So if everybody is saying it must be true, right? Data is the new oil. Biggest challenge, like you asked, I think this is exactly where security and privacy, both the fields merge, because both are about securing the data. And historically also, if you see, the last 30, 35 years, we have always been wanting to protect the data. Earlier, we did not have those controls. So we used to protect our entire networks using firewalls. Then we got better controls. Then we got endpoint security. We could protect the servers on which the data or the database is residing. And now you have controls which can actually work at the data layer itself. The biggest risk I see, one, beyond the absolute known knowns where attackers want to take out your data or corrupt your data, is data sovereignty requirements across multiple regulations that is coming in. On one side, you have digital transformation, which works best, or including artificial intelligence nowadays, which works best when you feed it more and more data to it. On the other side, you have regulations from the privacy side, which is saying, hey, you need to have boundaries between the various data assets. Going forward, I think that will be a big challenge. Now, thankfully for us, the DPDPA in India does not have a data sovereignty requirement, which was there in the earlier draft version of 2018. So we don't have to be concerned. But if you're dealing with European data, some Latin American countries, in Australia, some of them do have sovereignty requirements. And then it becomes, if you're a global company, especially like yours, then you have a challenge now. Do I keep my data set separate? And if I do have to keep it separate, how do I build this data insights platform on top of it, which actually works when you have consolidated data?
I just want to say for your second question, I think choosing a career in cyber or risk is an option which will keep you alive and lively forever, and maybe lovely as well, because you'll always be in demand. You got to be a student forever. There is never a dull moment. Every day there is something or the other thing. You may think that, okay, I know this really well, but then you will discover something that you're not aware of. And the hat that you wear as a student is something that would happen, I would say, on every moment, every day. You got to keep learning, upskilling yourself, keep yourself up to date on what's happening in the industry, what's happening in terms of various emerging tech that you got to be aware of, what's happening within your own, I would say, organization or area, right? There'll be a discovery, whether you want it or not, coming your way. So that will keep you, I would say, lively and enthusiastic forever. So that's the best part of choosing this as your career stream.
Any other question? Yeah. want to take that and then pass on.
So I think you got to be hands-on. You got to prove that you are able to meet the expectation and deliver to whatever the role demands. Right attitude, right skills will always come handy. Rather than always going with what I want, if you go with an approach, what is the role wanting? What is that they are looking for in the position or the role that you are looking for? That would help you to think from a different perspective, prepare well, have a holistic view on what are the aspects, who are the stakeholders, how do I contribute. You should approach it in that direction. There are basically two, I would say, philosophical groups, one who believe in certifications, one who don't believe in certifications. I would be somewhere in the middle. And I make it a point to do at least one very well-known global certifications every 2 or 3 years. The reason is not to prove that I can still memorize and pass these exams. The reason is because it keeps me, gives me an opportunity to go back to that reading mode, get into the concepts and understand how you are able to showcase your understanding when a question comes your way. Suddenly, right, off nowhere, it comes in front of you and you should be able to deal with it, right? So that's one of the approach. But no matter what certification you do, your presence of mind, how you are able to work on a specific activity or a task that is coming your way, what is the approach you take? Are you looking at it from an individual perspective or a team perspective? Are you able to solve the problem, or are you able to look at an alternate approach? So all these things will matter when a certain scenario comes your way. So attitude, skills, and always being open is something I would say are foundational aspects.
Quick thing. So like the cybersecurity field, certification is also a huge field, right? I'll tell you my example. Whenever I'm interviewing someone and I see lots of certifications with them, I try and assess what all certifications have they done. Does it show me a clarity in their mind? Because you would get individuals who have done CISSP and then they have done some CISA, and then they have done all kinds of certifications from Amazon to Azure to GCP, everything under the sun. That tells me this is a confused person. They don't know what. So they're using certification as a leverage to get to an interview, right? For me, that also raises expectation, because if you've done so many certificates, you must be really good. You must be able to walk on the water, right? 99.99%, they don't turn out to be that good. And so if you're pursuing certification, it is good as long as it is able to showcase your capability. Like Shobha said, if it is only shows that you can read a book or take a course and pass an exam, that's not good enough. So pick it very tactically, what you want to really showcase in terms of certification. For real world certificate, I myself hold lots of certification. I've never got a job because of them. I've never used it in real world, right? But it's good to have, like Shobha said, from your own self-learning. And I still maintain them currently because of that purpose. It's for my benefit, not for me to get a job or something.
Maybe it adds to the personality development, right? So the confidence levels will go up once you have certification. I think we can't completely rule out not having certification, but the confidence level with which you can, influence your employer, future employer. Yes, I am capable of doing this, and how I can contribute to your growth. At that level, I think the certifications can definitely provide. Absolutely. We had the question from there. So you made my task easy, not having too many questions myself. Yes.
This is a question for all the panelists. My name is Sudarshan. I want to try and understand as leaders who are looking for new talent to onboard. In your what would experience, but how should the candidate translate value to managers?
Yeah, Minty, you can start.
Yeah, so basically, I would not repeat because I guess I kind of resonate with Shobha. When we look at a candidate, the first thing we look is the attitude. then the adaptability. You might be doing something today and something else tomorrow. And then the technical skills. And of course, communication. These are the few couple of things we look for when assessing a candidate.
I think it's a very interesting and also challenging question. So we do assessments during the hiring process, and the candidates are going through multiple rounds of discussions as well. Sometimes there is a standard assessment practice. Sometimes it depends on basically the interviewer, how quick and how the questions or assessments happen to select a candidate, right? Whatever we assess in those discussions are very limited on what we get sense in few minutes of the discussion. That is all something that you can take a chance, is what I would say. Go prepared. I'm not telling that just take a chance, but be very prepared. Understand what you're applying for, where you're applying for, and what is the value you add into that role. But once you get onto the role, that is where your time starts clicking. You got to prove every day. You got to prove that you are able to add value. You got to prove that you're competent enough. You got to prove that you can collaborate and work well. You got to prove that you're adding value, not just to your own teams, the other teams who would approach to you. One thing that has actually helped me is to always be helpful. So whether it is your area, someone else's area, you are aware of it or you're not aware of it, when someone reaches out to you, they probably come to you thinking that you will be able to have some help for them. So listen to them, give a listening ears for a few seconds, a few minutes, understand what the help they are looking for. If you are able to help operate yourself, don't take on yourself as well, too much on yourself, but then see if there's something that you can help. If you're not, take time and reach out to the respective individuals or teams across the other divisions or business units and connect them, so that the person who has come out to you asking for the help is getting what the individual is needing. So always being helpful, being open to learn, and then walking through the dynamics. And every day you only have 6 to 7 hours to show what is that you bring onto the table, right? Every minute would matter. So you always got to be running with that mindset is what. There's never a relaxed time, no? So once you get a job, now that, okay, now I'm good. It is never like that. So every day you got to have that enthusiasm and then the will, the rigor to do something, prove yourself and collaborate well and show the value on what you bring to the table.
Great. So I'm afraid I'll not be able to take many questions. I'm sorry about that. So as we wrap up, we are almost into lunch. A rapid fire. Just take one or two recommendations that you would have in terms of the skills, the tactical and strategic approach to building a career for our professionals, and what are the skills high in demand? What are the skills high in demand in this interconnected world, which can help them thrive in this emerging threat scenario? Okay, take your mic.
Yeah, I'll give 3 points. Number one, we really need to understand the subject. This was mentioned by Sanjeev earlier. We really need to understand and simplify it for the audience. Okay. Second, as cybersecurity professional, we need to demonstrate the risk. It could be by using pen testing or risk assessment, whatever it is. People need to have a dollar value associated with the risk. Third, show the money to the stakeholders. Show how it is leaking. So for example, if I do a cloud assessment, there could be possibilities of instances being hosted, not being used. That's a leakage. Show that leakage. 3 points.
Great. Shobha?
I would say understand yourself, know your strengths and weaknesses, understand the environment that you're working in, and then add value every moment. Those are 3 things that I would
Any
say.
skills high in demand that you see from financial?
So this high demand will keep on changing every 5 years, and we have seen in the past as well. Keeping yourself up to
demand.
speed obviously is to, one, understand how to use the new AI world and in your own areas, and how to contribute to the ways that will add value. Something I would say, emerging tech basically.
Sanjeev.
I would say be mile wide and inch deep in your knowledge. That means know at least a little about something, at least read the headlines. So spend some time every day, every week, catching up on news like Shobha and others were saying. And at least in few areas, be mile deep and inch wide. That means deep dive into certain areas. That is your strength areas. So you must be experts at few things and in generally knowledgeable about everything else. Also, be humble and flexible that you will not know everything about everything. But at least you should know and have that confidence that I can go and get that information. The good thing about this field is the community is super strong. There's so much of information, overload, in fact. But if you have the right sources, you can seek help or you can ask in the community, do your research, get the right answers. So be flexible because this field is evolving so rapidly. You may be expert on something today, 2 years later, that field may not exist. For example, just 2 years back, when ChatGPT was launched, 2.5 years back, a new field of prompt engineering was born. A lot of people were told, go and do prompt engineering courses, etc. Today, do we need prompt engineers? This is 2 years, right? That thing is gone already. The AI has become smart enough to understand prompts even without engineering. And so the field is changing rapidly. We have to remain flexible and adaptable.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, panel. It was quite insightful and we had great questions. I wish I had more time to
Ms. Geeta,
field more questions.
since I have the mic, can I ask the last question?
Okay,
permit?
if our conference chair permits, I don't mind.
Okay, thank you for this.
Take it. Yeah, please.
Since we all are aspiring to be a CISO and we have the SIM CISO panelists over here, so I like to ask these, very direct and specific questions to Mr. Commander Sanjeev and Ms. Shobha as well. What metrics would you like to you are normally track, to measure the effectiveness of your cybersecurity program, and how do you communicate to the board and the executive? What metrics you track to measure the effectiveness of your cybersecurity program, and how do you communicate that to your board?
Majorly, how do you communicate to the board? Your programs.
The program, as we started this panel, is pretty complex, right? You got loads and loads of tools, technology, services. There are tools now available, typically called cyber risk quantification, which could absorb inputs from multiple sources and build up one posture for you, right? Now, is that exact? May not. But I report to the board. We have identified 4-5 different matrices that give a broad overall picture, right? Now, cybersecurity is never exact. Today, I could be 80 upon 100. Does it mean I'm 80% secure? Probably not. So what I have trained my board and I work with them and they do understand this well is don't look at the current point of time number. It could be 60, it could be 80, doesn't mean anything. Look at the trend over a period of time. So if I've gone from 50 to 55 to 60, that means we are on the right track. If I've gone from 60 to 58 to 56, I'm not on the right track, right? Also, a couple of other things that typically help where available is peer comparison. I'm a mid-tier IT ITS company. If we have identified a particular KPI, say a risk score, what is the same risk score for other companies equivalent to working in the same geography? So those are some of the things that help us do peer benchmarking and especially the trends, right? So exact metrics what matter, how they trend over a period absolutely matters.
Great. And really appreciate your questions and the effort that you put in. And thank you so much for being a great an audience. And wish you all a great career. And please join us for lunch.
Just Before breaking for the lunch, I would like to call upon Professor Magesh to introduce us to the conference sponsors. Just a brief introduction of the sponsors, and then we will break for the lunch.
I'll take a couple of minutes only. Thank you very much. We had a fantastic half a day. I have the responsibility of keeping the time tight because all the experts are leaving today, pretty much just after the session. So I have to say no, just be prepared for it. 2 points. First, I would like to acknowledge the sponsors, Clever Insight as well as Cloud Beyond. And second is we will resume at 2 o'clock. Because we have a tight schedule. 2:10. And whoever has not taken folder, you please collect it now itself. Yeah, we have to close the registration process. Thank you very much. Thank you.